You're trying to run a marathon before you've even learned to walk, you know? So we were talking about like all these really amazing tools and techniques for making games.
Yeah, sprites and animations and making things look really cool.
Exactly. But I'm curious, from your experience, what are some of the things that like trip people up when they're first starting out with Flame? What are some common challenges that you see?
Yeah. One thing I've noticed is that people try to do too much too fast.
Right, right.
Like they have this really grand vision for this complex game.
Yeah, they want to build like the next big, huge MMO or something.
Yeah, and then they get kind of bogged down with like all the different parts.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to run a marathon before you've even learned to walk, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So my advice would be to start simple.
Okay.
You know, focus on mastering the fundamentals.
Right.
Like build a basic game first.
Okay. So like what kind of basic game are we talking about?
Like, Pong.
Oh, okay.
Or like a simple platformer
Okay, okay.
where you've just got a character jumping over obstacles.
But wouldn't that be like kind of boring to start with?
It might seem that way, but trust me,
Okay.
there's so much to learn from building these kind of foundational games
Right.
because you get to practice working with sprites, animations, collision detection.
Yeah, all those core concepts that we've been talking about.
Exactly. And then as you get more comfortable with those, you can start adding complexity.
Okay, so it's like building a solid base, then you can add on to it.
Exactly. You don't want to start with a skyscraper right away.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, what about like finding the right resources? Because I know like when you're learning something new, that can be really tricky.
Oh, yeah.
Where would you recommend people go for like help with Flame specifically?
The Flame documentation is really good.
Okay.
It's very well written. It has lots of examples that you can actually run and play with.
Okay, so you can actually see it in action. That's helpful.
Yeah, and there's also a great Flame community online.
Oh, cool.
So there are forums,
Yay.
Discord servers,
Right.
places where you can connect with other developers, ask questions, share your work.
So it's a really supportive environment.
Yeah, it's a great community.
That's awesome to hear because, I mean, it always helps to know you're not alone, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's say you've built this amazing game with Flame. What happens next? How do you actually, like, get it out there?
This is where the business side of game development comes in,
Oh, right.
which I think a lot of developers kind of overlook.
Right, right.
Building the game is just the first step.
Exactly.
You got to figure out how you're going to market it.
Yeah, how are people going to find out about it? How are they going to play it?
How are you going to distribute it?
Hmm.
Potentially even generate revenue from it.
So you're saying there are actually ways to make money from these games?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a whole other deep dive we could do.
Oh, for sure. I'm curious, though, like, with mobile games, for example.
Yeah.
What are some of the common, like, strategies people use? I know, like, in-app purchases are popular.
Yeah.
Are there other options out there?
Yeah, so in-app purchases, those are really common for free-to-play games.
Right.
You also have advertising, where you're just displaying ads within the game.
Oh, okay.
Subscriptions, where players are paying like a recurring fee
Oh, okay.
to access premium content.
And then there's the, like, more traditional approach of just selling the game.
Yeah.
One-time purchase.
Yep. And each model has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
It really depends on like your game and your target audience.
I can imagine that choosing the right one can be tricky.
It can be. But all right, let's say you've figured out how you want to monetize your game.
Okay.
Now you got to get it noticed.
Right. Because there's so many games out there.
So many.
How do you make yours stand out in, like, the App Store or the Play Store?
Yeah, App Store optimization is huge.
What is App Store optimization?
So it's basically like SEO, but for app stores.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So like your game's title, the
Right.
description, the keywords you use.
So all those things matter.
Absolutely. You got to make sure those are clear, they're concise, and they use the right keywords that people are searching for.
What about screenshots? Those have to be important, right?
Screenshots are so important.
Yeah.
They're like the first impression players get of your game.
Right.
So you want to choose screenshots that showcase, the most exciting, visually appealing parts.
Yeah. Gotta make it look good.
It's like a little mini marketing campaign.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. And then beyond the App Store itself, what about, like, general marketing strategies?
Yeah, social media is huge for promoting games,
Right.
building community, getting people excited about it.
You can, like, create a whole experience around it, not just a product.
Exactly.
Love that. Okay, so we've talked about, like, the technical stuff with Flame.
Yeah.
We've even touched on the business side.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, game development is, like, a creative endeavor.
It is.
So for someone who's, like, feeling stuck,
Yeah.
creatively blocked,
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give them?
Honestly, one of the best things about indie game development is the freedom to experiment.
Right.
Try new things. Don't
Yeah.
be afraid to break the mold, challenge conventions. Let your creativity shine through.
Easier said than done, though.
It is. It is.
Because game development, I mean, it's hard work.
It is.
It's a lot of time, a lot of dedication, sometimes a little bit of luck, too. How do you stay motivated when things get tough?
I mean, it is challenging.
Yeah.
But for me, the reward comes from seeing your ideas come to life
Yeah.
and watching other people enjoy something that you created.
Yeah. I can imagine that feeling is amazing.
It is. It's really motivating.
And even if your game doesn't become like the next big global sensation,
Right.
you've still gained all this valuable experience and skills along the way.
Absolutely. It's about the journey as
Yeah.
much as the destination.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe your next game will be the one that takes off.
You never know.
Speaking of the journey, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
But before we wrap things up,
Okay.
I want to leave you with one final thought to kind of like ponder. So we've been talking about sprites, right? And we've been thinking of them as these like individual images
Yeah.
that we like move around and manipulate.
Right. But what if we could generate sprites from 3D models?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. So imagine you have this really detailed 3D model of a character
Okay, yeah.
and you could render specific angles of that 3D model
Right.
and then use those renderings as your sprites.
So you're basically taking a 3D model
Yeah.
and kind of like flattening it
Exactly.
into these 2D images that
Exactly.
you can then use in your 2D game.
And you wouldn't even need to create those models from scratch,
Okay.
right? Because there are so many resources online where you can find pre-made 3D models.
Oh, yeah, tons of them.
So you could just grab one of those,
Yeah, and a lot of them are free or very affordable.
which is great for indie developers who might not have the resources to make their own.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to visualize how this would work in a game.
Okay.
Could you give us an example?
Sure. So imagine like a 2D platformer,
Okay.
and your main character is a knight.
So traditionally you would have a set of hand-drawn sprites for the knight.
Yeah, like walking, jumping, attacking, all that.
Exactly. But now imagine if those sprites were actually derived from a 3D model of the knight.
Okay, yeah.
You could have much more fluid and nuanced animations because you're basically capturing the movements of a real 3D object.
Oh, that's really cool. So instead of being limited to just a few like static frames,
Right.
you could have a much smoother range of motion.
Exactly. And I think as game engines and rendering technology continue to advance, the line between 2D and 3D is going to get even more blurred.
That's exciting to think about. So we've covered so much in this deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
Sprites, animation, collision detection, input handling. We've even touched on the business side of game development.
Yeah, we really just scratched the surface here.
We did, but hopefully it's given our listeners a good starting point
Yeah, a foundation to build on.
to explore the world of game development with Flutter and Flame. It's been an amazing journey, and I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired
Me too.
to start, tinkering with Flame myself and see what I can come up with.
Yeah.
So to our listeners, if you're feeling inspired to, remember, Flame has everything you need.
It's a great tool.
So what kind of game will you create?